Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. During a Senate debate on June 17, 2026, Labour Minister Leroy Baptiste asked the public for patience while introducing a bill to protect the rights of former Petrotrin workers. The law ensures that past union agreements stay valid and that the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, OWTU, keeps representing workers at Heritage, Petroleum, and Paria fuel trading. The bill applies retroactively to December 1st, 2018, and passed with the help of government and some independent senators, while the PNM opposition abstained. So it shows that, as people did rightfully say recently, not all, but a lot of the independent senators do support the government at times, even though they were appointed by a PNM or former PNM, a very significant member of the PNM, President Christine Kangaloo. They do at times really do support the government, so we ought to be fair. Minister in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Clyde Elder, supported the bill, explaining that core Petrotrin duties still happen through these new companies. And of course, that is the reason why the Mighty Morphin Ghanayam, PNM, and Emperor Rowley and Zamyong always can tell people, oh, we didn't actually shut down Petrotrin. They shut down the refinery, which was one of the most important parts of Petrotrin. So you can miss us with that. Okay? Elder argued that the shutdown of the oil refinery was an unfair attack meant to weaken union leadership and hurt support for energy workers. Exactly. As I said on my other channel earlier today, right? We all know, if you go on record and you search online, UNC did make errors as well during Kamala's first term in office. Certain projects that failed, that flopped, cost the state billions of dollars when it pertains to the refinery and so forth. But the mismanagement was far more significant under the Mighty Morphin Ghanayam coal pot bicycle PNM. Billions of dollars were lost. But that is mismanagement. Mismanagement. And therefore, I always say this, once you have a company, once you have a business, something especially like that, as long as you manage it properly, it will make a profit. And this is why, even if it is you're reopening it in a smaller capacity now, it needs to be reopened, people. He also warned that closing the refinery continues to damage Trinidad and Tobago's wider economy and hurts national insurance contributions. Exactly, people. It is going to, once it's managed properly and it begins to make a profit, it's going to bring in much needed forex, foreign exchange, US dollars, not to mention individuals who are working for the refinery will have increased purchasing power. They will be returned, if they are not already still there, return as members of the middle class and upper class, will have purchasing power, and therefore they can invest in small businesses, or besides that, support the medium-sized businesses and the small businesses within their community and our country. When you have an empowered and an enriched middle class people, they bridge the gap between the filthy rich and the poor or the working class citizens of a country.
But when you look at it, whatever was being done in Petrotrin, when it comes to fueling, that is what Paria doing.
Correct.
Whatever has been done in Petrotrin when it comes to land, that is what maybe Petrotrin Legacy is doing. Right? But the point is, the exact same functions is now taking place and persists and continues in these smaller companies. So they tell themselves, boy, we catch them. We get them. Mm-hmm. And I want the country to take note of this. You see, my comrade, colleague, friend, fellow parliamentarian, Minister Kiza, member for Point Fortin, told us about the attack on OWTU and the historical, deliberate attack on OWTU. But when you marry that now, that hatred they had for OWTU, with a more acute and poignant hatred for the President General of the OWTU, yes, you get what happened in Petrotrin. That's what you get. Because Petrotrin wasn't just about, National Petrotrin wasn't just about destroying the union, no. It was an attempt to destroy the integrity and the character of Ansel Roger. That's what it was. They had people talking all kind of thing about Roger and about Petrotrin workers. Remember when they also put out in the public domain how much a maid was making in Petrotrin? And how much this one was making? Remember when they did that?
Yes.
They didn't do that by guess or by vaps, you know. They did it to get the public on their side so that the public will hate Petrotrin workers so much that the public will not stand up in defense of the closure of Petrotrin. That's what they did. And when they closed no Petrotrin, that had consequences. The former speaker, the speaker before me, member for Point Fortin, told us about one of the consequences, which is affecting the National Insurance Board contributions. That was something that the union had spoken about and prophesied about that will happen. The union said it. Before it happened, the union said it. If this happened, the result is going to be affecting the contributions to NIB. Because why? Because the OWTU over the years has done so good and so well at engaging in collective bargaining that they were able to move workers' salary from pittance to something that was a little more livable and manageable. And people said, oh, Petrotrin workers were overpaid. Well, it was not that Petrotrin workers were overpaid. The rest of the country was so grossly underpaid that they felt Petrotrin workers was overpaid.
Trinidad and Tobago Weather Report Friday, June 19, 2026. The weather in Trinidad and Tobago for Friday, June 19, 2026 will be partly cloudy, hazy, and at times breezy with temperatures peaking at 31 degrees Celsius. According to the official regional outlook from the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, the atmosphere will feature a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust. Showery spells are expected primarily during the morning period, transitioning into standard afternoon heat intervals. There is a low 20% chance of isolated thunderstorm activity. Conditions will settle by the evening, leaving behind only a few lingering showers. Marine conditions: moderate open seas with wave heights ranging from 1.5 to 2.0 meters. Sheltered areas will stay below 1.0 meter but can turn choppy during sudden downpours. Wind speed: breezes will flow from the east-northeast to east-southeast at 8 to 40 km per h. Humidity levels spanning from 65% up to 95% maximum. Heat index: the real field temperature is expected to climb up to a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. Daylight schedule: sunrise is at 5:40 a.m. and sunset will occur at 6:27 p.m.
Regional news now. More than 2,800 rice farmers in regions 5 and 6 have been verified as eligible beneficiaries under the government's recently announced Rice Farmer Assistance Program in Guyana, following a series of field assessments conducted by regional verification committees. Nathaniel, I'm telling you, one of the only leaders in our region that actually is doing a good job, a really good job. That doesn't mean he's perfect. I'm sure he's making certain errors. I do see comments on Guyana Chronicle, so I know he's making some errors, and sometimes, of course, it's just political fanatics as well that criticizing him for no good reason whatsoever. The update was provided on Wednesday during a meeting between Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa and members of the Rice Cultivation Verification Committees, who presented the findings of ongoing exercises aimed at identifying farmers eligible to receive financial support under the initiative. According to the reports presented, a total of 2,871 rice farmers from regions 5 and 6 are set to benefit from the program. That is wonderful news. We need to focus on expanding the agricultural sector in Trinidad and Tobago as well. Yeah, we don't have as much land as Guyana, but we still need to become more self-sufficient when it pertains to food production. And of course, definitely besides that, make good deals with Guyana so that they could provide us with food products as well. The verification exercise was undertaken to ensure that all qualifying farmers are actually identified and included in the distribution process while maintaining transparency and accountability. Addressing committee members, Minister Mustafa emphasized the importance of conducting the exercise with accuracy and integrity. That's something that we lack here in Trinidad and Tobago, integrity. But anyhow, talking about it in the government and even in the society. Noting that the government is committed to ensuring that assistance reaches its intended recipients and doesn't end up in the pockets of contractors and big shot people. He said the verification process plays a critical role in safeguarding the program and ensuring that eligible rice farmers receive the support needed to sustain production and operations. The assistance program was announced by President Dr. Irfan Ali as part of a targeted intervention to provide relief and support to rice farmers across Guyana, because of course I think it was earlier this year the rice farmers were complaining a lot of issues they were facing, adverse issues. Under the initiative, farmers cultivating 50 acres or less will receive $15,000 Guyanese dollars per acre, while those cultivating more than 50 acres will receive $10,000 per acre. The program forms part of the government's broader efforts to support the agricultural sector and strengthen the rice industry, one of Guyana's key economic contributors of course, outside of the energy industry. 5 additional companies have been granted approval to import cement into Jamaica as the government seeks to close the supply gap and alleviate shortages that have affected construction across the island. Now, that is wonderful news. Speaking yesterday during a post-cabinet press briefing, Senator Orbin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, said the importation approvals were granted for 6 months. He said Jamaica Logistics International Limited was given the approval to import 100,000 tons. Rock hard cement, we have that in Trinidad too, will import 100,000 tons. Tank Weld Metals was given the go-ahead for 60,000 tons. Island Concrete Company Limited, 60,000 tons, and Gore Development Limited was given the approval to import 20,000 tons. He also noted that the Buying House Company Limited, which has been operating as an authorized cement importer in Jamaica since 2006, a lot of years now, was given an expanded quota of 150,000 tons. According to Hill, these companies were selected after they contacted the government to offer their assistance to address the cement shortage. And hopefully that means the prices should go down. When you have a large supply of something, a product, the prices usually go down. I hope so. The government of the Bahamas is updating its labor laws to create safer and fairer workplaces across the country. These changes aim to fix outdated rules by adapting them to modern working styles, including remote and digital jobs. The update focuses heavily on improving workplace health and safety protocols for all industries. To ensure the new rules are followed, the government will give labor inspectors more power and tools to check businesses and penalize those breaking the law. I hope they don't end up just going after the small man with your small business. Can't really afford to upkeep it the way that he should. That is how the authorities, that's all the authorities love to do. When they end up with these kind of laws, they don't go and target the big shot and the 1%, Nah, they go after the small man. Sounds good, It's good. It's really good. But I'm just saying, it's the enforcement of it is what I'm looking at. This major reform is being designed with help from business owners, trade unions, and international labor experts to balance everyone's needs. And remember, this government is in their second term in office, and it seems as though the people trust them. So let's see how things go. A key part of the plan includes setting up better ways to solve disagreements between workers and bosses quickly, employers quickly. Similar modern labor updates are also happening in nearby countries, showing a regional push to improve worker rights. I think it even taking place here in Trinidad and Tobago to an extent, and update minimum wage leave and layoff guidelines. International news now. The framework is now official. President Trump has signed a memorandum of understanding outlining 14 key U.S. negotiation points both America and Iran hope to maintain over the next 60 days. Totally betraying the Iranian citizens. Over 40,000 murdered by this Ayatollah terrorist regime. And of course, most of all, betraying their most important and greatest ally in the entire world, Israel, and its closest government partner, ally, world leader, friend, Benjamin Netanyahu. God will deal with you, Trump. But anyhow, among the stated U.S. objectives, ending the war, restoring normal operations through the Strait of Hormuz, and ensuring Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. Yeah, but you're saying about restoring. But are you sure they're not going to be charging these vessels millions of dollars in fees? Trump? My response, this genius actually believes that terrorists in Iran will end their mission to develop nuclear weapons. You really believe that, Trump? Just a few months ago, you did not believe that. Just a few years ago, you did not believe that. But all you care about is making this deal so that the oil can continue to flow. You just study about things from a business perspective, you know. Not from a biblical or spiritual perspective or even from a moral perspective. You just care about making that deal to show the world that you brought peace to the Middle East. When it is just an illusion. Trump from 2020 would have called this an Obama 2.0 China deal, as Amir Safati said. Now, I saw it even before China, don't get me wrong. I used to be messaging Amir Safati in Telegram and telling him, you're being misled by Trump, eh? But definitely since Trump went to China, it has gotten worse. The spirit of the Antichrist is truly upon this man, Donald Trump. People, Iran will never end their mission to destroy little Satan Israel and big Satan America. And what Trump has done by making this deal with Iran is empowering them, giving them back billions of dollars. Now the Americans are saying, oh, we're not giving them any money, but you're giving other countries the ability to be able to unfreeze assets and give back Iranians a lot of money, billions of dollars in money, even though it's not coming directly from America just yet. Trade and so forth, they are going to prosper significantly in a short space of time. And you know what they're going to use that money for? Not to benefit the citizens of Iran, you know. They're going to use that military, that increased wealth in order to rebuild all their military infrastructure, right? And behind America's back, they're going to begin to enrich uranium again. And they're going to fund a very significant point is that they're going to also fund their proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis in Yemen, right? They're going to finance these proxies to continue to attack Israel. And then they'll pretend it wasn't me. You know, Shaggy said it wasn't me. That's exactly what the Ayatollah will say. It wasn't me. When the Hezbollah attacks, they'll just pretend we didn't know anything about that, you know. And Trump, the way Trump reached out, he will say, well, oh gosh, well, yeah, it's really Hezbollah. Hezbollah, don't. Just don't. Remember Biden used to say that? Just don't. And then when he said that, everybody else used to laugh at him and continue doing whatever they were doing. Telling you, spiritual blindness. The Antichrist spirit is upon Donald Trump at this point in time, and we all knew. I heard the warnings from Amir Safati about Vice President J.D. Vance, and it's showing, definitely he's showing his true colors shining through. Yes, people, we are seeing how anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist J.D. Vance is insulting the Israeli Prime Minister, making it look as though Israel needs America and Israel can't do anything on their own and so forth. Throwing Benjamin Netanyahu under the bus, and of course Trump is doing it as well. God is going to hold both of you accountable, and this most likely is going to be the reason why America finally falls. U.S. State Vice President J.D. Vance issued a sharp public warning to members of the Israeli government. You see what I'm talking about? Stating that President Donald Trump is the only world leader currently sympathetic to Israel. As someone said online, sounded like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. You know how Tucker and Carlson and the other QAnon crew had turned against Trump? Now you'll start to hear them praising and glorifying Trump again and J.D. Vance. Why? Because once you turn against Israel, these individuals will love and praise and worship you. He will be part of the White Hats team yet again. Trump will now return to his position as part of the QAnon Messiah movement. Yes, Putin is the true Messiah, and Trump is also a Messiah once he's doing what they want him to do. Speaking at a White House briefing, Vance forcefully defended a new proposed U.S.-Iran diplomatic agreement and strongly rebuked Israeli cabinet ministers who had criticized the deal and made personal attacks against Trump. Israel is speaking the truth. Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking the truth. You cannot make deals like that with terrorists. You cannot allow them to end up generating in such a short space of time billions of dollars, which you know they are going to use to fund terrorism throughout the Middle East. Trump once upon a time knew that the Iranian Ayatollahs and the IRG are the largest sponsors of terrorism in the entire world. Vance cautioned the officials that they are heavily jeopardizing Israel's standing by alienating the leader of the world's sole superpower at a moment of extreme global isolation. Well, go ahead and advance. Do what you have to do. God will deal with you. God will hold you accountable. The Bible said it. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. Is America. You want in Israel, America will be the one that will end up falling, not Israel. Read Ezekiel 38. God is on Israel's side. God will destroy all of Israel's enemies. Vance further urged the Israeli critics to wake up to reality. No, you all are the ones that need to wake up. You're making deals with terrorists, with murderers, people that are murdering, massacring tens of thousands of their own Iranian citizens. So Vance further urged the Israeli critics to wake up to reality, reminding them that 2/3 of the defensive weapons protecting their homeland over the past 3 months were manufactured and funded directly by American taxpayers. He stressed that while Israel maintains a right to self-defense, its leadership must respect the broader regional peace process being driven by Washington. So in other words, what you're telling, you're doing just like Biden now. You're going to withhold these weapons from Israel. That's what you're trying to do. Then you're trying to blackmail Israel. That's what you're doing, Vance. The vice president emphasized that creating friction with the United States is deeply counterproductive, especially since America remains Israel's only remaining powerful ally on the global stage. My response, demon-possessed servant of Satan, J.D. Vance. We all know that Vance is an anti-Zionist who pretends to care about Israel and peace in the Middle East. He doesn't care. Judgment will fall upon America in due time because they've turned their backs on Israel. America first has now become America only. I'm very sure Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson will now fall back in love with MAGA Trump again because he was pushed out of the MAGA movement. Both the radical left and QAnon Russian far right will be responsible for America's fall from their position as the leader of the free world.
What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in.
Bible quote of the day. Luke 13:10-17. Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman who had had a disabling spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not fully straighten herself. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, "Woman, you are freed from your disability." And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God. But the ruler of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, said to the people, "There are 6 days in which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day." Then the Lord answered him, "You hypocrites! Does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to water it? And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham whom Satan bound for 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day?" As he said these things, all his adversaries were put to shame, and all the people rejoiced at all the glorious things that were done by him.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.